Okay, guys, today we're going to talk about the Ottoman Empire. This is the last of the big Islamic based empires. It begins with the conquest of Constantinople right here in 1453, and it lasts up through the end of World War I, finally falling apart around 1922. Okay, so that's when the modern Turkey comes into being. As you can see, it gets up here into Eastern Europe as far as Hungary. They do make it all the way to the gates of Vienna at one point in time. Most of North Africa, all through here, Egypt, good deal of the Middle East, and obviously what is modern day Iraq, parts of Iran, and Georgia, Armenia, and all those places there. And a whole lot happens with them. The picture in the bottom right, that is the Hagia Sophia. After the conquest by the Muslims, it becomes an Islamic mosque, no longer a Christian church. It's still there today, and you can see the minarets around it. Okay, so Turks were once a nomadic and warlike people whose original homeland is up in Central Asia. Okay, north of Iran, up around between the Caspian Seas and the Aral Seas. On this map, up in this area here that I'm highlighting in green. Okay, and they kind of came into the Middle East in two waves. The first was the Seljuk Turks. They ruled from Baghdad, the capital of Iraq, in between the Tigris and Euphrates River. And as their power weakens, around 1300, they fall into the world of the Ottoman Turks. And the Ottoman Turks are named the Ottoman Turks because their first leader was Osman. And somehow we got Ottoman out of Osman when we anglicized it or turned it into an English word. 1453, they become a world power when they conquer Constantinople. And that happens because Sultan Mehmet II begins a 52-day siege of Constantinople. He's pounding the walls with cannon fire, the walls that had lasted for nearly 1,000 years around Constantinople. With the power of cannon, they're finally taken down. They breach the walls. They take the city, rename it Istanbul, and it becomes the capital of the Ottoman Empire. So you can see the two different empires, the Seljuk Turks in the green. Orange is the Byzantines and the Fatimids, who are the remaining Arabic caliphate. And then down on the right-hand side, you can see how the Ottomans gradually took power. 1355, they had the area around Constantinople. 1481, they've moved well into Eastern Europe, conquered most of modern-day Turkey, and finally 1520, they moved down into what we call the parts of the Middle East. Okay, so Ottoman's greatest sultan is Suleiman the Magnificent. He's given the name the Lawgiver because of his reforms to the empire's legal system. He gathered around himself leading architects who designed a number of aqueducts, bridges, fortresses, mosques, and other structures. He's the guy who really goes a long way towards expanding Ottoman rule. He attacks all the way to the gates of Vienna, nearly takes it. So his empire stretches, as you can see, in all the colors of blue: Hungary, Arabia, North Africa. And there's a picture of Suleiman on the left, hoping that's just a big hat. That's not a funny shaped hat. Okay, so Suleiman takes the title of Emperor and Protector of the Sacred Places, which are Medina and Medina, the two sacred cities of Islam. He was a fair, but he is an absolute ruler. We will come back to him a little bit later towards the end of the course when we're looking at absolute rulers and compare him against some of the others. He rules using this council of advisors called viziers, and the Ottoman law is based on Sharia, or the Muslim legal code. And their society's based into four classes. You have the men of the sword, the soldiers, men of the pen, scientists, judges, lawyers, and poets. Men of negotiation, these are the merchants, the tax collectors, and the artisans, the people who make things. And then the men of husbandry, these are the farmers and herders. These are the guys who make the food. Okay, so people were divided into religious community called millets, and there's three, okay, or three or four. There's the Muslims, you have the Greek Christians, Armenian Christians, and then you have Jews. Each millet has its own leaders, and they are responsible for the education and legal matters of their particular group. The Ottomans recruit officers for the army and the government from among those they conquered. They don't just force Turks on them. They actually take people from the locals. Okay? In the Balkans, Christians are taxed by turning over their sons for government service. Some converted to Islam. and put through military training. The best of these are called Janissaries. This is the elite fighting troops of the Ottoman Emperor. Okay, they protect the emperor, but they're also kind of like his 15th century, 16th century version of the special forces. These are the best guys, the best fighters in the Ottoman army. Bright students are educated to be officials in government. Okay. The Ottoman Empire is best known for its extensive trading network. Once again, this whole territory is such a crossroads of humanity and trade that trade becomes a very important part of it. It also has a very well-run system of government during its prime. Within the empire, different people of different religious groups and ethnic groups are generally treated with tolerance, especially under the time of Suleiman. He is very much a promoter of religious tolerance. Make sure you've written that down. At the height of its power in the 1600s, the Ottomans stretched a vast territory: Balkans, Turkey, North Africa, and the Fertile Crescent. Okay, arts flourished under Suleiman. Poets adapted Persian and Arabic models into Turkey. Royal architect Sinan creates beautiful masks. Painters created detailed illuminated manuscripts and miniature paintings. You can see one on the left. That is probably the court of the Sultan. Okay, Ottoman Empire begins a slow decline following the death of Suleiman, and it takes it 400 years to fall apart. Suleiman had executed his two most able sons, whom he suspected of treason, and his successor, Selim II, left most of the governing to his ministers, and the bureaucracy grows corrupt. European nations and Russia take away Ottoman land. They kind of get squeezed down from around. Eventually, the North Africans break away, and then finally, they come under from the Persians. So this is the empire at its greatest extent under Suleiman the Magnificent in 1580. From there, it's kind of a steady downhill climb. Okay, so by the early 1500s, what is known as the Safavid dynasty has arisen in Persia, present-day Iran. It's caught between the Mughal Empire of India, which we will be talking about in a couple of days, and the Ottoman Empire. They're always at war. They're Shiite Muslims. The Ottomans are Sunni, as are the Mughals, so they're surrounded by two foes who consider them to be heretics and demon worshippers, if you will. Okay, they also have a great period. Shah Abbas the Great revives the glory of ancient Persia. Remember, Persia was the largest empire of its time before Alexander, way back. Abbas centralizes the government, creates a powerful military, and he negotiates alliances with European enemies of the Ottomans, especially the Austrians and the Russians, to kind of get a squeeze on them. He helps the economy by reducing taxes on herders and farmers, and he encourages industry. He tolerates non-Muslims, and this is a high point of most of the great empires is religious tolerance, taking everybody at face value for their abilities, not for their beliefs. Okay, he built a new capital at Isfahan, which is still a city that lives today, and invites Armenian Christians who controlled the silk trade to Isfahan. It becomes a center of commerce, especially the silk trades, and he allows the Armenians to govern themselves in kind of an enclave. Okay, after the death of a power struggle arises, and the Safavid dynasty declines. Shiite scholars challenge the political authority of the Shahs, the Safavid kings, and these scholars encourage the persecution of religious minorities. In response, the Afghanis expel and forcing out the Safavids in 1722, and pretty much it becomes just Iran, or Persia as it's known, prior really to World War II. Safavid lives a lasting impact. They firmly established the Shiites in Iran, and this is one of the problems that Iran has today, because they are Shiite. Most of the rest of the Arabic Muslim world is Sunni, so there's a lot of conflict between Iran with the other Arabic countries, and actually they're Persian, they're not Arabic. Okay, so some characteristics of both empires. You can see that they were kind of at their heyday together at the same time. They did fight against each other. You have the different Sunni and Shiite. The way they were related to the West, the Ottomans are respected and feared. They attacked Europe and they control lots of parts of it, where the Safavids are more alliances with Europeans against the Ottomans. Again, bridging the gap of religion for political gain. Okay, I'd like you to take a minute and answer these two questions. I will include them on the Google form that is attached to Classroom in Edmodo, which you'll need to do at the end of the video, but you won't be able to see the map because I don't think I can get the map loaded into the doc. So complete the Google form on Edmodo or Classroom and submit it. That will be your homework grade for this video.